Hi, I'm Sung Ray.
I'm something else.
Here, Black Girl Soul, a podcast where we discuss the Asian dramas we love from a Black female perspective. We are looking to be entertained, to learn about other cultures, and share our passion for these shows. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. This is Black Girl Soul. I am something else, and we also have
Sung Ray.
Okay, so this is an episode that is a long time coming, unfortunately for us. We're both busy people, but we love you guys and talking about dramas and film. And we realized that we were completely derelict in our duty to you guys and to ourselves by not talking about this film. And it'd be different if we'd watched the film and yet we didn't talk about it, but we just never had a chance to. It was just always the thing we wanted to get to. It was our secret shame. So we are now going to talk about Parasite, having watched it. And I'm going to give you the brief rundown. Everyone knows everything about this film already, but let me try and do it justice. Parasite is a 2019 South Korean Black comedy thriller film directed by Bong Joon-ho, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Han Jin-woon. Okay, y'all know already, but I'm going to say it again because it is my second secret shame. I'm going to butcher these names, but I'm saying them out of respect and because I have to give it the old college try. So please, please, please forgive me when I mispronounce these names. I'm very sorry. Okay. It stars Song Kang-ho, Lee Sung-kyun, Cho Yo-jong, Choi Woo-shik, Park So-dam, Jang Hae-jin, and Lee Jung-un, and is about a family of con artists who latch onto a rich family. So let's give it its props and its bona fides because this film did the damn thing. It's the first South Korean film to win the Palme d'Or Award. It grossed over $264 million worldwide on a production budget of $11 million. That's right, y'all. It just got ridiculous, okay? Just ridiculous money. It's the highest grossing film of South Korea. They won many awards.
It won 42 awards internationally.
Okay, it got ridiculous. I mean, it was like South Korea was like, let's try a hand at this, and then it just like completely blew up shop. Okay, so of the 92nd Academy Awards, it was Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best International Feature Film, becoming the first non-English language film to win the Academy Awards for Best Picture, the first South Korean film to be nominated, and the second film produced by an Asian country to be nominated since the year 2000's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, produced by China. So basically the first time y'all tried, the South Koreans tried, they just blew it up, okay? And it also won the Golden Globe Awards for Best Foreign Language Film and the BAFTA Award for the Best Film Not in the English Language, and became the first non-English film to win the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in a Motion Picture.
It also won the Palme d'Or Award for 2019. It won an award for the Robert Award for Best Non-English Language Speaking, Basic Award for 2020, Writers Guild Award, America Award for Best Original Screenplay, Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Leading Actor, the AACTA International Award for Best Film, the David D. Donatello Best Foreign Film, Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Director, British Independent Film Award for Best International Film, Independent Spirit Award, National Society of Film Critics Award, Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Director, Grand Bell Award for Best Supporting Actress, Blue Dragon Film Award for Best Supporting Actor, Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award, Los Angeles Film Critics Association's Award for Best Supporting Actor. Yes, yes.
Whew, okay. Sunray, we don't have the whole hour to just list the awards.
I understand, but they did it. 42 awards internationally is awesome.
Right. They did the damn thing. And so now let's get to the film itself. Let's start off with this. In general, what would you grade this film as? This is a laughable question, but I have to ask it. What would you grade the film as? A, B, C? What would you give it, Sungray?
I would give it an A. Easy. I would give it an A.
Right. I mean, it's laughable, right? I mean, and as we talk about it, you'll understand why. There's so many people who have spoken and written about this film that, yes, I doubt we're going to do it the same level of justice as they do, but we can definitely put our spin on it, right? You know how we are. Well, I'll say that, of course, an A plus, A plus, plus, plus. But what were your first impressions of the film before you watched it?
I really didn't have any impression other than I thought it was a horror film.
Okay. Did you think it was a thriller or like you thought it was going to be a horror film?
No, just a flat horror film. My mother is who noted it. Oh, look, she thought because it was Korean, I'd be interested because I watched the Korean dramas. And I want to watch this. You should watch this with me. And I said, oh, okay. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, no, it's a horror film. I don't do horror films, but go ahead.
As time went on, I'm sure you learned a little bit more. You're like, oh, okay, let me get to this. For me, I didn't think it was a horror film. I thought it was a comedy more than I thought it was like a Black comedy. I thought it was like a comedy of errors. I thought it might be more along the lines of the British show Upstairs, Downstairs, or more along the lines of like almost a Downton Abbey, but like the Asian version in a way, a modern Asian version. I just thought it was going to be like a comedy of manners more so than like Black comedy. And that's just like a completely different feel, right? So you start us off.
I'm going to give you guys a summary that I kind of pulled in. It helped me to get a better understanding because initially just thinking about the title is Parasite. So again, I thought it was about a horror film and I thought it was going to be about books.
That's funny.
Because again, even though the previews had come on, I saw them, but I didn't really pay them any mind. Where something else is more interested in digging into things and finding out what's going on, that wasn't really my bag. So I saw the previews, I heard what my mom said, and I was like, yeah, okay. Then when I heard they got all the awards, I was like, whoa, okay, I might need to check this out. That was the only thing that sent me to wanting to really dig in and watch it. So for me, the summary is it's a family who is destitute, slightly lazy, and cunning, and they use an inroad made by their son's friend to provide him with a tutoring job with this wealthy family to take over basically all of the jobs in the family that they can find. And once they get themselves there, they all begin to envision making this their home and can take over. And they pretty much are on the road to success until they have a thorn that gets into their side, and that turns this whole thing into something else. So that's like pretty much the summary that I pulled, and I was like, that's that. Right. It was an interesting lead into okay, the concept of what a parasite is. So I guess for me, one of the things I thought about was, what do you think about the overarching theme of this movie? And because of that title, that theme is what led me to go, oh, this is good. So for you, what do you feel about the overarching theme of the movie?
I think the overarching theme for me was like, the way we talk about hood rats, right. I thought about them being like roaches. Like that was the overarching thing. Like the overall feeling I got from it was like very shocking. And it's like, I felt like I was traveling down a tunnel out of sheer curiosity, and then I realized I was being buried alive. And I feel like I was being buried alive with a bunch of roaches. Because I think there's something about when a viewer walks into a film where you want to relate to the characters you see first, and you want to like them, and you want to be on their side. So at first, you're completely and firmly on this family side. Like, you see their hustle. Their hustle is super real. You see that they are still in Wi-Fi, and that they, in a very literal twist, they get fumigated like bugs, right? In the very beginning, and they keep on hustling and they keep on working. They just accept the fumigation and they keep on hustling. It made me sympathize with them, because I was like, oh, this family on their hustle, poor them, poor them. Even when they start to like take advantage of this family, you go, oh, poor them, poor them. And then at some point I was like, if these ain't some straight up con artists, MF, blip, 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 folks, like it just got worse and worse and worse. How about you, Sungray?
So I feel like this film really speaks to the have and the have-nots mentality that anyone on earth can understand. We've into the desire to overcome our bad odds or poor situations, and we live better than we are or were. So I believe that once you achieve this certain space in life, though, it is ultimately important to note that everyone is not there to aid a fellow human make their way out. So you get to where you're going to be on your stepping stone. You try and you help someone else, which was Park Sejun's role in this. He was the friend who came in. Hey, I know, I don't even think they were in college together. I'm not sure how they were friends, but they were friends of some sort. And he came back to like try to assist a friend. And he aided a fellow human in trying to provide him a chance to live a little differently with some dignity. And the Park family represents those who have had a status and they forget their ways knowingly and unknowingly, where they are doing things that they're comfortable with and they're used to having. And the Park family is the family who owns the house. So when the Kim family begins to feel like they've arrived, they become like the cockroaches, parasites that want to take over your kitchen and your home unless it's exterminated. They became the fear that elitists and wealthy people fear at night as they clutch their dollars and sleep. They slowly made their way into the Park home and invited others, one after the other. And the first chance they had to be home alone, they obstinately abused it. That it wasn't even a nice abuse. They just went in.
Right, exactly. I totally agree with you. I think the only place the slight place where I disagree with you is that the friend did not, out of the goodness of his heart, right? He did not give his friend that opportunity. He didn't tell the son of the family about the tutoring job because he was kind and good and trying to help his fellow man. He did it specifically because he thought his friend had no game. And he was like, I've gotten the daughter of the rich family primed up. I've even had the mother. And I think his words were, she's young and simple. So he was not, Park Sejun's character.
Well, he called the mom simple. He didn't call the daughter simple. He said the mom was nice and simple.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, I thought, maybe he said, okay. I mean, I think I thought I read it young and simple, but maybe it was nice and simple. And well, same difference. He thought she was naive. And so he was bringing in the young, poor friend, like being magnanimous, but at the same time condescending. Hey, I'm doing you a solid, but really he's not doing him a solid. Really, he's like, he told him outright, I know you're not going to be able to get with this chick. And when I come back, I'm going to formally date her. So can you hold my spot and make sure pretty much nobody gets next to her? That's what he came down to. So he wasn't exactly, he was condescending. And it made me wonder, because I don't know culturally, of course, what it meant. I understood the symbolism of I think it was a stone or whatever, or the rock that he brought to the family from his father, that like petrified stone. I understood the symbolism of it. But I kind of also think at low grade was another way for him to kind of say, this is where you all are. Everyone knows y'all don't have it together. Here's this gift. And by the way, here's this opportunity. Like, if he hadn't needed his friend, he wouldn't have been there.
And I kind of disagree, because it didn't lend itself to me, or I didn't feel as though he was there totally on the strength of, you ain't gonna do nothing. I took it as, I'm trusting you enough to, this opportunity exists. I could easily go talk to some folks from my college and get somebody else to do this. But I trust you. I trust you already recognize, I'm telling you, this is what I want to do with this girl. Don't mess with her. Watch over her. Make sure she don't mess with nobody else. And there you go. Go hook yourself up. Get you a job. That's how I perceived it. And I just, think maybe on this one we got to disagree or agree to disagree, because I didn't perceive him trying to be condescending to
me. I think The Rock kind of made me side-eye, but then his conversation, I mean, on any level you want to look at it, he was a douche, but he was, I think, especially one because it was a indirect benefit to his friend, but primarily it was a benefit to him. But like you said,
I think it was a two-way street. Yeah, there you go. I could see that.
And so one of the other themes I saw, I mean, there were a lot of themes. There are a lot of things that were touched on, and that's what makes this such a rich film. But just like the concept of family in general, I thought it was very, very interesting. Like, speaking of that rock, and how part of the reason like that rock stood out to me was that it was supposed to bring that family material wealth, but they already had wealth in that they were a family. They were they were a functioning, for all intents and purposes, able-bodied family. And that was the core wealth that they had. But it really wasn't like, oh, okay, I'm going to get on and maybe I'll throw a couple of dollars your way. It's like the brother got on to bring on the sister got on to bring on her daddy, the daddy got on to bring on his wife. Oh, let me just say this. Okay, so for those of you guys who have not watched this film, we're going to spoil the hell out of it. Yeah. We're going to spell the hell out of it. So you already know our rating. You already know that it's gotten ridiculous accolades. You already know that we love it. Go watch it. Now on to the show. So Ray, what did you think about the theme of family?
I think for me, because of how cunning and conniving and deceptive they were, yes, they were a family. Yes, they had the benefit of having each other, even so much so that they practiced their stuff. I still think, though, they were an extremely dysfunctioning group. They were not where I would look for parents to give some type of, here's the right way to do things, or here's how you should do things. The parents were supporting him in this madness. So like, the boy went in, he got the job, he got the girl to fall for him, and he was setting up his own program. It was the fact that the father and the mother did not like delude their plans is what blew my mind. I think that just was like, whoa, this is how y'all function? And even to the point, I'm gonna jump to two things, but I'm gonna come back. But even to the point when they wound up at the shelter, and he asked his father, he said, what is your plan? And he said, oh, I don't have plans. I don't make plans. When you make plans, that's when stuff goes wrong. So I don't make a plan. Well, in his head, he was gonna make a plan, and he did. He made a plan on what he wanted to do, but it just never seemed to, in my head, I feel like as a functioning family, had they thought about this, okay, so maybe the son and the daughter had these sick ideas, but mom, dad, nobody stopped to say, this is not how we do this. This is what makes the better sense. So I guess, I don't know. I thought they were just an extremely dysfunctional family.
And then what was the second point?
So my second theme was, okay, so I'm jumping around. When the family had to return to their home, and it was really the dad and the two children, when they had to return to their home and it was flooded, the themes that I noticed there, because that also plays back into, one, thinking about that rock, and two, just the visuals that they gave. So it's completely flooded. They're in a basement apartment, and the toilet is exploding with boo-boo. She's sitting on the toilet smoking. The son is like just in despair. He finds that rock and he's just trying to hold on to that for dear life. The father's trying to be practical at this point, and just those visuals and all of what was going on there, I thought those were like excellent scenes. There's so many things you could pull out and talk on. So that was my next point, was that, you know, as a, even then when the family was in that situation and it was a rough one, everybody else is in the same place in the neighborhood. They're trying to get their things together. They're trying to help each other get out and get to where they can be, you know, safe, because it had rained, flooded. We're dysfunctional again. She's sitting on the toilet that's shooting shit, smoking. The boy is holding a rock, just having his moment. And the dad is like, okay, can y'all come on? We got to get out of here. So they were just all over the place. And that was like kind of wild to me.
I think that it was kind of just the hardest version of, we're sending you back where you came from, right? Like, they had gotten to enjoy a particular way of life for a split second. And then the family comes home and they have to
No. It wasn't even just that the family came home, girl, because the Keem family was not ready for the former housekeeper to show back up. That's what threw them all the way off. I think if the family had just shown up, they'd have been all right. It was that housekeeper coming back.
That's
and then,
right. They were the ones who came. Okay.
Threw.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was like, I know that someone came home and something happened. But yeah, I think it was just this weird kind of juxtaposition between the good life and then like, no, this is where you really belong. Like, you really belong in this bullshit. You really belong with the other poor people. You enjoy this wonderful, think about even their views. When they were at home, their view was below the street. Okay. They weren't even at street level. They were below the street.
Do you remember they kept having the vagrant piss in front of their house?
Right.
And that was wild to me, like, whoa, that's what y'all got to look at while y'all eating dinner. But go ahead.
Right. Versus when they are at the rich family's home, they get lawn. Like, they don't even just get a little patch of grass. They get full on lawn, like full on park type setting. But I did want to go back briefly to when you talked about the morality of that family. And that reminds me of when the mother, when they're all at the family's house pretending to live the high life, right? Like pretending that home is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, maybe the son, said that the rich wife was nice. And the mom was like, she's nice because she's rich. And she was like, if I had all this money, I'd be nice too. Which kind of suggests that their money is affected by their morals. Like, it's always nice. I mean, I'm not for immorality. You know, everyone is human and everyone makes mistakes. But I also feel like they were using poverty to excuse their immorality, which was not right. But I also could see how they couldn't afford to be nice. I think the way she said it is, money is an iron that takes all the creases out. Right. And I was like, well, you know, given that maybe you did iron their clothes too, you are like, it's just like layer upon layer. It's easy to be kind and nice and moral when your stomach is full. Like, we know folks who, to varying degrees, came from the hood and have, I would say, flexible morals about things and about what they'll do or not do to get by. This family is just like that. You know, they are the hood of South Korea. You know, I can go to the next theme unless you have the next theme.
Just for me was to kind of go into the former housekeepers coming in, that whole scene, but go ahead to wherever you were.
Well, I think obviously poverty was a theme. Obviously hustling was a theme. Like, from the very beginning, they're hustling for their Wi-Fi. When the pizza manager shows up, you see very early on that the brother and sister are good at hustling and bullshitting folks. You know, like, they slide up to that manager and start talking in her ear and, you know, trying to get some kind of pass and hook up and all of that stuff. Like, and then even down to like how they hustle through the family. Like, it was like a slow build of, okay, you see that they can hustle for Wi-Fi. Psh, Okay, now you see that they can talk in somebody's ear. Oh, okay, y'all gonna use the red sauce on the tissue to hustle, right? To hustle the old housekeeper out of a job. Okay, oh, y'all gonna hustle your way in. So hustling was just like all the way through. It's like the parents didn't give them morals, but they gave them hustle. They gave them they gave them that con artist spirit. Like they were studying harder to be con artists than they were to get into a school. You know, like when they talk about the sister could have been some, like, I forget what the phrase was, but like basically that the sister was the best at forging documents ever. Like, so it was like what they turned their kids towards learning. And then, of course, like you said, a big theme was the overarching theme was class difference. I also think about the kind of juxtaposition of the folks being flooded and the impromptu birthday party, because those happened around the same time, right? Am I getting this right?
Yeah. Because while they were at the shelter is when girlfriend sent him the message telling him his mom had invited him to the party. Yes.
Right. So it's like this place where it's like the lines aren't just thinly drawn, they're firmly drawn, they're in black marker and permanent marker. Like in that city, there are people who are displaced because of the flood, and yet at the same time, rich people are preparing for a birthday party because the son didn't have the party that he was supposed to have, right? And then just kind of jumping ahead when we talk about class differences. Oh, I have a note here that's just super funny. I asked myself, I wonder if it's putting on airs for Koreans to have American names, because it's like he had, what was his American name? I forget what his American name was, but his sister's American name was Jessica.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like they were rebuilding themselves on every level. It's like their history had to be rebuilt, their names had to be rebuilt, you know, in order to be acceptable as they walked into this new world, this wealthy world, and be introduced to this family. But I think that class difference was just the thing that ultimately killed the rich father.
Well, before we get to him,
okay,
let's back up to before they even left the house, when the actual Park family came back, because they had gone on the trip, it rained, they came back. And so they wound up sleeping on the couch, and you have the son, the daughter, and the father under that table. Right. And they had that whole conversation about Mr. Kim's smell and how he had a smell that was impoverished, and the smell just would overtake the car. And, you know, he just went on, and as the people laid there under the table listening to them, and they laid on the couch just having their conversation just as comfortably and peacefully as they could. It was just like, wow, a smell. Like you are talking as though he has a choice about this smell, one, and two, the smell is just so overbearing to you, it makes you sick in the back of the car. Then they even showed the wife when they go shopping for the birthday party, how she recognized the smell because the husband had told her. Now she's actually getting to smell it, and she's overthrown and has to roll the window down. And I'm going, wow, that was one of those things that just stuck out for me.
And it was just like, so there are a number of things that were going on. That's why this film is just crazy to me, because the rich dad was very particular, very strong figure to me. He walks into a room owning it. He is very successful. He is very set about how he wants things to be. And he's very much about crossing lines, right? About people crossing lines and not crossing lines. And so to me, that foreshadowed what was going to happen when Rich Dad was very much about Poor Dad not crossing lines, and how he existed just before he crossed the line. And so when they had that conversation that you mentioned, where the poor people are under the table and the wealthy people are above it, going to suburban, above the table, enjoying their lives, enjoying their meal, whatever. It's like the smell thing was part of crossing the line, but it was like a thing that he could not control. but
Exactly.
it was like, you know, you can't control your poverty, but yet I'm going to demonize and look down upon you for it. You can't even have respect just as a worker. Even if you're working for my family, I secretly disdain you. I secretly look down on you. I'm sure there's some symbolism in the rich couple having sex and the poor family having to just listen to it.
Bear
And
witness, right?
right. And when the family finally gets to crawl out from under the table, there's some symbolism there, right? Of the father being the last to crawl out from under the table and having to crawl like a bug out from under the table. And the wife had said when they were all sitting, eating high on the hog, they were like, what would you do if family came back right now? And the wife said, oh, you would, you know, scurry away like a roach, like a bug. And that's exactly what he did. And I was like, oh, snap. It was all foreshadowing and coming back together.
Right.
It was just when you, as a film, when you saw how these bits and pieces clicked in together, you were like, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, it was like every step you went from a place where you were like, oh, this family, ha ha ha, you're funny, to, ooh, y'all are getting over, to starting to feel nervousness, like, oh, how's this gonna end? Especially with the ex-maid or the ex-housekeeper. Like, when all that hit, you were just like, oh damn, they are effed up, they're jacked, it's over, like, it ain't gonna be right.
Yeah, I was about to say that is where I wanted to hit next, because the Keem family was not ready for the former housekeeper, who was already in full parasite mode, because she was a parasite too, goddammit. She was in full parasite mode. She knew all about the house. She was the former housekeeper to the man who had designed and built the home. So she knew about the secret bunker in the basement, and she had set her husband up to live there. Like, dude had a full suite going on, a bed, a bathroom, a little sitting area. Like, it was a full thing going on, and they were blissfully happy with this situation. And she even told them, when the Park family left, she was like, she told them, the Keems, you all don't even know how to do this right. When my husband and I were, you know, here, and it was just us, we would come out, enjoy, listen to music, and they were, showed a back pan of their lives and how they would come out and they were just, calmly enjoying it. And then they'd go back to their quiet bunker in the basement. And it was like, wow, she had a whole setup going on. And in their minds, the Keems were just over the top. In their head, they could not understand their parasiticness, but she was okay with hers. And it just made it that much more of a chaotic mess.
Well, I think that it helped that the family, while not the worst, like, they were not complete assholes, they were quite a bit douchey, right? And so that's how anyone in that position would have said, okay, you know what? If I take a little bit of food home, if I get over a little bit, I'm going to let it go, because the family was so particular in weird, odd ways. The wife only wanted references from other folks, which made it easy to get over on her, right? Like, they all had their thing. But yeah, when you see that unfold, I mean, it just went from treasure to trash in a hurry. It was so I was like, and then it kind of low key broke my heart, because until the very moment at the birthday party when it just completely exploded, it's like I had some level of hopefulness, because I know this is awful to say. If the family had somehow found a way to quietly bum off of the rich family, if the poor family had found some way to quietly exist with the poor family, I would have been okay with it. Like, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting them to get to some place where one day the son could go back to school. One day Jessica could get her art degree. Like, I was hoping for something like that. And yet they were like, no, this isn't that type of film. This is actual art. We're not here to make you feel comfortable. We're here to, like, make you feel uncomfortable. So, yeah.
So that former housekeeper and her husband are the O's. And the O's, I think that was the problem in one of the the themes again we could look at, and why I mentioned what I did, is that the two parasites couldn't function together. They were two different types, and they just could not function together. And so even though you had the Kim family who had come in and gotten all their stuff together, the lady was not going to let go. Moon Guan was not going to let go. She was not going to just release that, because her and her husband, now where they gonna go? Where they gonna live?
Right.
How they gonna function? So she had a plan in her head, and that's how, even though she came to make sure the man had eaten and, was okay, because he had been down there for weeks without anything going down. So that was why she made her way back. But even upon that, the Keem family realized, oh crap, somebody else is basically holding on to where we're trying to get to, and so we got to fight that off. And so when the Miss Keem kicked Miss O down the stairs, that was kind of the beginning and the end of that. It couldn't go right after that. It had to go to the left.
Yeah, completely. It was crazy. It was like layers and layers and layers of crazy.
And that just led to the two fathers going bananas, the two parasitic fathers going bananas at the party. So the one got loose. He just went ham, started killing folk, and, well, attempting to kill people, because the boy didn't die, but he attempted to kill him. He stabbed the daughter, stabbed the mother. Did he?
Yeah, that's not the father, but Mr. O. Mr. O.
Well, yeah,
got loose.
I'm calling him the dad of the O family. So
okay.
I know kids. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like he got to killing people. So then I think Keem dad, he, for the most part, on top of the fact that the Park dad, the rich family dad, said what he said to him prior to him going out in that Indian costume, he had already built up in his own, you just have no respect for people who are under you or beneath you, in so many words, that is over the top. This man has come out now, so this is just my chance to get it all off. Let me go ahead, attack him, and then kill this one. Because did they kill?
Wait, attack who and kill who?
He killed Mr. Park, and didn't he kill Mr. O? Who killed O?
I can't remember. I thought maybe the mom killed O.
She may have. Ogunse was his name. So she may have killed him.
It was an amalgamation of a whole bunch of BS and frustration, resentfulness, all at one time. I think that the conversation between the two fathers was almost the straw that broke the camel's back. If the poor dad had not been under that table and heard that conversation, I don't think it would have set him off. I think that he was used to the rich dad talking the way he talked, and he would have let it go. But it was that he had talked about his smell, and then this man, in the middle of all this craziness, cannot bear to touch the keys. He's holding his nose as he touches those keys to go, like, dude, don't you even want to survive enough to grab some keys? Like, he was too good to save his own life. You get what I'm saying? He's too, like, he didn't even want to jump into the fray to stop it. He was so busy. He thought he was old life. Like, you go and save the day and fight this crazy guy off at my birthday party in my home, and I can't even grab some keys without holding my nose. That's what made him go, oh, hell no, you about to die, fool. So that's why I think he went after him, because that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was too through with the father and all of that. And frankly, when you have spent days upon days and you've been with the wife, I can see how they started to lull themselves. Like, we know these folks, we drive them around, we get their food, they're all right. It's imperfect, but they're all right. We're almost friends. And then he's under that table and he hears what they really think. Not just the smell, but just all of it. Wow. They really think we're trash. We can't just be working people. We can't even get respect that way. Y'all think we are for real trash. Like, even if we smell like trash, even if we live in trash, even if they have trash morals, it's almost like they're like, we're human beings and you can't even give us that respect. So that's why the father was just like, I don't give a damn about my life. I'm just going for it. I don't give a damn. And it's a shame because it's the ultimate stereotype that hood rats end up in jail. Like, damn, he ended up in jail. Like, like the family.
No, he did not.
No, he didn't.
He did not.
Happened? He ended up. He ended
out.
up in.
He snuck out that back.
No, but when I say
made his way back.
No, when I mean he ended up in jail, I'm sorry. I meant he ended up in jail. Like he lived in that house. He got stuck there. He ended up in jail. Like he's not free. He's not free.
He's not.
He can't even walk the yard.
Even if he comes out, he got to be mindful of, because remember, the son went to go look for the father. I don't know what he was looking for, but he went back to the house just to kind of look and saw the lights and got his message. But people had been following them around because they thought that he knew where the dad was.
Right.
So, he was not free.
Right. So it's like this weird thing where the family, the thing they had, because let's go back to The Rock, right? When they were in the shelter, I think the son said something about how the Rock has him. Like the father asked about the Rock and he's like, no, the Rock clings to me. But they were so fixated on believing it was material wealth that they didn't realize that the Rock was that they had each other. And so that family imploded. The daughter died, was killed. The father is stuck in a basement. It's just the son and the mom. How do you function after that? Like it's like their family was split. Point,
let's talk about, because I think that was. Do you believe that that the ending was metaphorical or a true ending?
That's a good question. I'll tell you now that I think that it was a metaphorical ending because the son has this dream of becoming wealthy enough to
buy that house.
Now, the thing that I read, and I read it, but I don't have all the details on it, was that at some point when they had gone to the buffet or whatever to eat, and they had crunched the numbers, they realized it would take the son so many years, 200 years or 400 years or something crazy, for him to become wealthy like that. He was never.
And that was really truly where I was going to. I didn't by a long shot think it was a true ending. I just wanted to kind of make sure that point was out there, that it was his dream. It was metaphorical. And even if you look at the exact very end, I would like to say he was still sitting in the room of wherever it was they were. I don't think they were back in the basement, but he was somewhere else that him and the mom shared. And so in my mind, I said, okay, that was him dreaming what if this pan out after all the crazy to be some semblance of normal, this is what he would have. But at the end of the day, dad stuck in the basement, you and mom still living in poverty, and y'all just trying to make it.
And the thing is, do I want to self-soothe? Because that was some traumatic shit to watch that. Let me just keep it 100. Because it stayed on my mind, at least for a couple of hours. And then I was like, you need to walk away from this. I want to believe at some point the father snuck out and he was able to find them, and they moved out to the country or rural area, or they got somewhere else. Maybe not rural area, because then he would have stuck out, right? But someplace they would have found a way to be together, because the sister dying was enough karma as far as I was concerned. Like for a life. The mother killed Mrs. O. She lost her daughter. Them bumming off of that rich family, they didn't deserve all of that. They came to them like that. That was crazy. It was a lot. I mean, I think that's the only reason I would say I didn't like this film. Not because it wasn't artistically great, not because the themes were not stellar, the symbolism was on point, like it all clicked in together, but just because it just hurt my spirit afterwards. I was just like, damn.
Because one of the things I think I thought about was the loss of life. Was it necessary for the plot to be furthered? And although I'm going to say, I'm not sure that I thought the deaths were necessarily needed for me, but I do know that they were driving points to how totally desperate these two families were, that both parasitic husbands were at kill mode, getting to this place, and in that, it was about trying to maintain some sense of sanity and dignity. The old husband, Oguse, I'm tearing it up, I'm butchering it, I'm sure, but the old husband, it was a matter of, this is what I've been doing, this is what me and my wife agreed to, I was willing to work this out, but here y'all came and you've made it harder than it had to be, so I'm going in, and you killed my wife, you killed my source of everything being sane and right. She's gone, so now I'm taking y'all out. For the Keene family, as you spoke on that husband, like he just was overwrought and overtaken by that situation. And so with all of that, I just felt like, whoo, all that death is what made this story go, it was heavy. Like it started off, like you said, it had some comedic elements, it had some stuff that, you kind of could laugh and keep going. It had all kind of symbolisms, but it was heavy because I think that was what like made me feel sad for a little while. Like you said, I even went to another drama. I was watching Lucky Romance at the time. I went back to Lucky Romance to try to like lift my spirits a little bit. But yeah, it was heavy. It was heavy.
Yeah, and to be clear, let's talk about Mr. O just a smidge. I mean, he wasn't completely 100 to begin with, right? He was not.
Well, I mean, I think he was mentally
right. He was not mentally all together. No disrespect, but he was not. It was like he was loving in his own weird way. Like he had been there in that basement for years, and
it worked for them.
Right. It worked for them. And, one of the things I did read about, like, of course, I didn't go and collect the various Easter eggs because anyone can go read them on their own. Like, they don't need me to list them here. But one of the things was that poor dad worked for this cake company that went out of business. And the assumption is that the cake company was owned by Mr. O. Like maybe he didn't know who the owner was of this cake company or something, but that was like one of the things. Like there were these weird coincidences and weird things that they tied in together. And it was like Mr. O, once upon a time, was a business person. I mean, I'm saying this to say Mr. O was once able-bodied and then devolved, if you will, and circumstances changed for him. And he ends up making do in a basement where he does like Morse code for fun, right? I mean, and so it's interesting that the best that poor dad can do at the end is end up in a basement doing Morse code to let his family know he's alive. It was a lot. And I can't take away from this film. I can just say, I'm not built for unhappy endings. I'm not built for, that's why I watch Korean dramas and Japanese dramas. I don't watch horror, as a rule. I mean, with rare exception. The rare exception in this case being, I'm just going to do a shameless plug because I love this show so much. Lovecraft Country is on tonight, and I'm in love with that show. And so that's how I can do thrillers, I can do sci-fi, even Black comedy to a degree, but it was sad and disheartening at the end. And I think it's important that people know that, because chances are if you walked away from this film depressed, realize you weren't alone. It was for real.
I'll tell you, I'm a parallel for you two things. One, I just watched SF8, which is a new show on Kokowa, and it is sci-fi thriller. And it was like, man, it was strange. The first one is called The Prayer, and when it ended, I was just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And so I won't be going on with that show.
Oh, wow.
Because of the ending. The ending was like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that. I thought, yeah, you would have to read about it, or you and I could talk about it another time. But that show kind of took me over too, and I feel you on the not ready for unhappy endings, or the what the fuck would happen. So I also watched the movie Believer because I am on a Yale. I'm tearing his name up, I'm sure. Yale June. No, Rue Jun Yil. Yeah. The Traveler, he was in Reply, 1988. I've been talking about him on Twitter and Facebook everywhere. Okay, him. So this movie, Believer, someone had shared with me yesterday that I should watch it. I found it. I watched it. It was a really good movie. But the ending, I was like, wait a minute. Who died? Who died? Because they don't tell you who shot who. So you can't figure out which one of them died. And I'm going, because I got two feelings about that, and I don't know if I feel like that was a good idea if this one is the one who died, but then I don't know if I wanted that one to die. So yeah, that was another one of those at the end movies.
Right. And so I don't know. I think if I'd never seen the film, I would have felt like I missed something. And
definitely, I feel like this was a had to see.
Right. And I think that you can, if you're going to spend like 2 hours on something, you want to take something away from it. The thing I take away from it is the thing I've always believed, like money doesn't buy happiness. And there's so many other elements to what makes life great and grand. And if you don't appreciate what you already have, i.e. your family, your friends, good people around you, like health is a big one. Health is a big one.
Yes.
If you don't appreciate those things around you, yeah, it doesn't matter what kind of rock you're walking around with, like that rock he walked around with was a pebble in his shoe. Yeah. It wasn't something that added to his life or made his life richer. If they had had all the wealth in the world, maybe it would have been different, but they had so much. They had so much potential. Like, if they had seen that future, then chances are they would have stayed as far away from that wealthy family as possible.
Girl, please. Them schemers and connivers, they tried to figure a way around it. They would have known in advance about that housekeeper's husband down there, and they'd have planned in advance. Right. If they had known the end, they were never going to not try to make that happen.
You're right.
Not that family.
You're so right. And then that leads me to the other takeaway. Don't fuck with fuck ups. Like, it's a real takeaway. If you see somebody who is like, and by fuck up, let me define that for you, right? I'm not talking about people who make mistakes. I'm not talking about people who, like, things happen to them and it's very unfortunate, like they've had bad luck. I'm talking about people who all you have to do is go from A to B. And somehow because they think they smarter, they want to get over whatever their crazy thing is. They go from A to D to V to W to X. They don't go down straight lines. If you bump into somebody who is like just a fuck up, like just can't seem to get it right, and they can't get it right, not the things around them, they can't get it right, stay away from them. Stay away. If you see somebody who hustles too hard.
Because I'm telling you, you're making me laugh on so many levels, because one of my questions was, how can the story relate to our lives? You are answering that as you speak, because I'm telling you, that is exactly what I was laughing about. My mom her favorite line is, anytime somebody zigzags, you get away from them, because you're supposed to be on the straight path. If they zigzagging, you don't want to zigzag with them. And you just named off the zigzags, going from A to F to Q. Wait a minute, what are you doing? And in the there's a movie, I think it's called Life, I can't remember, but where the man's name is Can't Get Right. Can't get right. You just always got a problem. You can't never get right. I'm gonna need you to steer clear.
Right. It's like when you see someone who's hustling and they're always hustling hard, and it's never just like them just doing the right thing and going about their business, stay away from them, because either they're gonna hustle you, like that's a real thing, or because their mindset is different, right? It's like their chemistry is off. Like they just a different type of egg. And clearly there's a whole family. Like clearly now we know that maybe genetically that can happen. I mean, it's fiction, but it's also true.
Oh, all day, because I've met a family of hustlers. So yeah, sorry.
Right. When you can, that mindset can spread
There you
because,
go. That's the
you
problem.
know, like by and large, I've always known people who are hustlers like that to think they're smarter than everybody else. To look, and they're trying to feed their low self-esteem or whatever the hell is going on with themselves by thinking I'm going to get over. So in situations where you really don't even need to get over, right? It's just unnecessary. They trying to do stuff.
Especially when you meet people who are, naturally kind, giving, and it's not about finances, just, you don't mind sharing something, you don't mind helping out, you don't mind, and so you think you're gonna hustle. But in this situation, that's what happens. Like, you think you hustling me, but at the end of the day, I was being
Right.
nice just cause. Now how about
Right.
I cut it all off, I cut everybody off, I ain't got to deal with none of y'all. Like, we can make it go that way. That's how that has to work sometimes when you're dealing with those kind of people.
Right. I just remember in college, like kind of seeing folks who were hustlers. And when I was young, you would think, oh, it's just that they're smart. Well, you can be smart up to a degree. You also have to know when to turn that off. There's a difference between knowing the system and working the system. And then just like, to me, a key thing when you know someone is a fuck up is when it is absolutely unnecessary to do.
And they still trying to get over.
And they're still trying to get over. And maybe that's one of the reasons why the show kind of sickens me, because this is like what happens. Like you see just the end result of what happens to people who like just, it's not even just trying to do wrong. You know, people make mistakes. It is trying to get over and frankly hurting others. Like that's another function of the fuck up. Like they don't necessarily mind hurting other people. And it's like the ending was, I didn't want to see people hurt. I didn't want to see people killed. Like that's just not my thing.
Right.
So, like at the end of the day, I didn't like watching the show Faces of Death. Like you remember back in the day, girl, did you ever watch Faces of Death?
I don't
Girl,
think so.
no, it was like Faces of Death. It's like it was like this series where they put clips together of people getting killed. Like it was like an old school, like not like, hey, we're gonna kill somebody, but like, oh, this is footage we have of this person in this accident, and they ended up being killed. And it's like that used to sicken me too. Like I don't like to see people hurt. Like, and I'm not saying that's a great thing. Like I'm a very virtuous person or anything. I just don't like it. So I think that that's what. At the end of this film, I would say it's a film worth seeing, but just like mentally prepare yourself. And if you don't really need to see this to live and you're not like, into art the way we are, then, you can give it its respect without watching it. I know this is a weird thing to say, but at the end of having thought about this whole film now, I'm like, it's an A plus 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 plus, but you don't have to watch it.
Hilarious. Well, while we're talking about watching it, that would be where I was going next is for those of you who are interested in watching it, we found it on Hulu. I did not see it in Netflix. I did not see it on Viki. I've been hearing a lot, and I know I've used it before. I think you've used it before, Drama Cool. But one of the things about some of these sites, you got to be careful with the pop-ups and the redirects with these. What are those things they use?
Cookies?
When you have those, yeah, like those, and it's not just the cookies, no, it's when they have those ads that kind of overtake and send you to another link before you can actually, that crap. I'm not 100% a fan of those. And so we got into this conversation on one of these websites I'm always on, but we got into a conversation about how you watch stuff, and a lot of people like to pop up Drama Cool, or I think it's Kiss Asian. Both of them use those, and so you got to be kind of careful depending on what kind of user you are. I am someone who I don't mind paying to see what I want to see. So I've got a subscription to Viki. I've got a subscription to Kokawa. I pay for Amazon Prime, so therefore I have Prime Video. I pay for Netflix. So like I pay for the stuff I want because I want to be able to watch it without the issues, without the pop-ups, without whatever other drama might come behind it. I don't know. I just feel like the other sites are like that. If I am at 100% desperate and I really want to see whatever it is. So like, I really wanted to see, what's that drama, the historical drama that had all the cute guys?
Harangue or whatever. Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh gosh. Okay.
This one was
right.
real heart, or oh Jesus, I can't think of the name of it, but it too had a bunch of the cute guys in it, and I think it was like 7 brothers, and the girl was one of the friends in there somehow. And any which way, this story is known, but I went there to watch that because I could not find it anywhere, and I searched everywhere, even tried to put it on hey, could you please add this? Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere, so I did watch it there. But again, those sites are not the best to choose from if you don't have to, in my personal opinion. What do you think?
I mean, I don't even play that game. Like, it's been a long time since I've had to deviate from this tried and true. You know, the dirtiest I've gotten when it comes to traveling down the byways, highways, and alleyways to watch a drama is what is it, IU, whatever that thing is called.
Yeah.
You know, that's as bad as I've gotten, because frankly, I'm very blessed and lucky and grateful to not have to do that now the way I used to in the very early years. So
man, because back then it was a whole different, there was no other options.
You had to worry for real about viruses. And so I just, you know, between Vicky and Kokowa and Netflix, I've been pretty good. Now, is there going to be some show somewhere that I'm going to be like fiending trying to watch? I'm sure. So I'm crossing fingers and toes that my luck persists. But yeah, I'm good. And as we can see, Hulu has our back too.
Right.
You know, even Amazon Video like has stuff. So
oh, honey, because that's where I watched Deliverer yesterday. I watched Taxi Driver on Viki, but I've watched several movies on Amazon because that's the only place that had it. It wasn't on Netflix, it wasn't on Viki, it wasn't on Kokowa. So go over to Prime Video, and there it is.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, I think that we're in a really lucky space that we can afford some of these sites. You can still afford, you can still watch it on Hulu. You just, you know, you're going to be dealing with ads. Heck, with Hulu, even when you pay, you're dealing with ads. It's so rude. But right, let's just keep it 100. And so if you can, you know, pay in time, and if not in money, you're still good. I would never suggest or promote a hobby or an interest that is predicated primarily on having the funds to do it. Like, that's not cool. So there is almost always some way to catch these shows. And if you can't, then ask somebody to do a watch party, you know, because those are becoming more and more popular. And that's, you know, an entryway into catching some of those shows. Anyway, is there anything else that you'd like to add about Parasite, Sunray, before we end this episode?
No, I think that's pretty much it. It was a good ride. It left me a little sad, but it was a good ride.
Okay, well, I feel exactly the same. As always, we want to know what you all think. I'm sure that there are those of you who have watched the show. I mean, not the show. There are those of you who have watched the film repeatedly, and you have discovered all the secrets to the universe and within the film. So please tell us what you think about Parasite, how much you love the film, what your observations are, what you think we got right, and what you think we got wrong. Well, I am Something Else, and
I'm Song Ray.
Have a good one, you guys.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Black Girl Soul. We enjoyed having you, and please subscribe, like, and follow our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter page, Instagram page, and join our Facebook group. You can also find us on Patreon. Please look below for links. See you guys next week.